Thank you all for being here. My name is Yvan Baker. I'm the Member of Provincial Parliament for Etobicoke Centre, and I'm really honored to be joined today by a number of special guests. I'm here with Wendy Preskow, who's the founder and president of the National Initiative for Eating Disorders, her daughter Amy. Thank you for being here. Suzanne Phillips, program manager at the National Eating Disorder Information Centre, and Luciana Rosu Cieza, who's the executive director of the Bulimia Anorexia Nervosa Association. Thank you all for being here today, for your ongoing advocacy and for lending support to this private members bill. Thank you. As you may know, I've introduced private members bills over the past several years, and in the past they've focused on protecting consumers, they've focused on issues like protecting road users, but today I'm focusing on something very different, something that is very, very important. This afternoon in the legislature, I'll be introducing a private members bill, the Combating Eating Disorders in Ontario Act. It will help to eliminate some of the factors that contribute to eating disorders by ensuring people are aware of the unrealistic and unhealthy portrayals of beauty and body image that dominate today's mainstream and social media. But before we get into the details, I'd like to invite Wendy Preskow and her daughter Amy to tell you their story about the impact that an eating disorder can have.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of all individuals with eating disorders and families in Ontario, I would like to thank MPP Baker and his staff for tabling this bill today. As the founder of the National Initiative for Eating Disorders, I am totally in awe of what we have accomplished in only 6 years. The overwhelming support of frontline clinicians, researchers, and eating disorder experts in Ontario and across the country has truly demonstrated the chronic and dire need facing eating disorder sufferers and families in this province and country. I started NEED because Amy, who is now 32, has been suffering with anorexia and bulimia for over 17 years, more than half her life. Our experiences of helplessness, frustration, and ultimately anger fueled me to want to create awareness and take action regarding the bizarre and unforgiving world of eating disorders. I could not sit back knowing there were hundreds of thousands of, if not millions, of families just like ours struggling every minute of every day for years and years, often with no end in sight. As parents and caregivers, my husband and I have done everything possible 24/7, physically and financially, to provide and help Amy, and it is never enough. The minute-by-minute, daily, emotional, mental drain and strain on us as caregivers, looking after an individual who is suffering from an eating disorder, is unimaginable and never-ending. We have lived with fear, stress, heartache, broken relationships, broken hearts, attempted suicides, self-harm, shoplifting, worry, and panic. We have been through every negative and positive emotion possible. We never ever have peace of mind, not for 1 minute. We are a population of caregivers that have had zero acknowledgement, help, support, or recognition. Eating disorders have the highest death rate of all mental health illnesses. And besides being the orphans on mental health agendas, our caregiving responsibilities, time and agony has not ever been addressed. The needs for caregivers like us is extremely different from caregiving in the way caregiving is being measured and perceived in the system of care right now. Eating disorders kill sufferers, bankrupt families, and destroy relationships. NEED is the voice for those who cannot speak up, often living with shame, guilt, and stigma, all behind closed doors. We advocate to gain the same respect, support, treatment, funding, research, and parity as any other mental and physical illness in Ontario and in Canada. I truly hope that together with MPP Baker's bill and all parties, we can shift the landscape for this population in Ontario and across Canada. Every one of us plays an important role in supporting the positive, mental, social, and emotional development of our youngest citizens, our children. I congratulate MPP Baker for tabling this bill, which will have a meaningful impact on reducing people's skewed perception of unrealistic body images in print advertising, television, and other media. With these changes, Ontario joins other jurisdictions around the world who are starting a meaningful conversation about the negative effects of promoting unrealistic standards of beauty and taking steps to ban misleading advertising. I would like to ask Amy to read her poem she wrote in response to an article describing eating disorders as a passion. And I just have to tell you as well that 10 days ago, Amy was in ICU. So I really congratulate her for being here.
My eating disorder is not. It's not a diet, nor a lifestyle, or a senseless teenage phase. It's not stupid, it's not silly, nor the latest weight loss craze. It's not a passion, not a hobby, and is not some twisted game. It's fatal, yes, it's deadly, it's an illness of the brain. It's not fun and it's not funny, not intentional, not a choice. It kills you slowly every day and overtakes your voice. It's not my fault, it's not intentional, not some spiteful sleight of hand. It's an anxiety-driven, fear-based disease that too few understand. It's not a joke and it's not selfish. It is the furthest thing from vain. It's a drastic telltale of no self-esteem and unparalleled burning shame. It's not malicious nor dismissive, not distinct to middle-class white girls. It's a disease like any other, ensnaring every age, class, and race around the world. It's not uncommon, it's not weird, it dates back centuries, nothing new. It's the single most fatal mental illness, which all statistics prove to be true. Telling an anorexic to just eat is like expecting a deaf person to just talk. Telling a binge eater to just stop is like demanding a paraplegic to just walk. Telling a bulimic to just eat normally is cruel, ignorant, and frustrating. Telling an exercise addict to just sit down is like telling schizophrenics, just stop hallucinating. This illness is biological and genetic. It's like cancer of mind and thought. It doesn't come from nowhere. You are either born susceptible or not. If you think this is a ridiculous phase or that we'd be fine if we just tried, then explain to me the shocking rate of sufferers committing suicide. If eating disorders were just a stupid choice or you think that we're just lying, then why are millions desperate for help while millions more are dying?
Amy's story is just one example of the struggle, not just of someone struggling with an eating disorder, but it highlights, I think, how it affects family and how it affects friends as well. I witnessed many years ago the devastating impact of an eating disorder on someone close to me, and I've also heard too many stories about young people who have taken drastic action to conform with unrealistic conceptions of beauty and body image espoused in our mainstream and in our social media. And the numbers are alarming. Eating disorders affect approximately 1 million Canadians. And as Amy mentioned, it has the highest mortality rate of any mental illness. 1 in 10 people with an eating disorder die of that disorder. And this is an issue that affects people of all ages and genders. A 2005 study found that over 50% of teenage girls and 33% of teenage boys were using restrictive diets to lose weight. In 2012, the International Journal of Eating Disorders found that 13% of women over 50 engage in eating disorder behaviors. What experts like Wendy, Luciana, Suzanne, and this research tell us is that images of perfection portrayed in mainstream media can negatively affect a person's self-esteem and can lead to eating disorders, which can have devastating consequences. People need to know that these depictions are not real, and we need to give positive reinforcement to people and companies that promote healthy perceptions of body image and of beauty. So that's exactly what my bill, the Combating Eating Disorders in Ontario Act, would do. To increase transparency for consumers of media, the bill, if passed, would require a digital modification disclaimer be placed on any photo or video advertisement and other commercial content where a person's image has been digitally altered or photoshopped. And it would require consideration of disclaimers and other regulations to address unrealistic and unhealthy conceptions of beauty promoted in commercial film, television, and video. The bill would also establish a series of awards under the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care for individuals and companies who take meaningful action to reduce the prevalence of eating disorders and require the ministry to conduct an annual awareness campaign on eating disorders with an emphasis on promoting healthy perceptions of body image and healthy perceptions of beauty. To address each segment of the industry, the bill separates commercial media into 3 different categories: advertising, other commercial art, and film and TV. My bill, if passed, would tackle each category slightly differently. For advertising, the bill would require that any photo or video advertisement for a product or service in which a person has been digitally modified must always provide a clear and noticeably displayed disclaimer on the photo or video, indicating that the image has been retouched or digitally modified. For other commercial art, the bill would have a similar requirement, and the Minister of Government and Consumer Services would determine whether any photo or video content covered by this other commercial art category should be exempted, and formalize any exemptions through regulations. For film and TV, the bill would require that the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services conduct a review of current regulations pertaining to film and television, along with other video, within a year of the bill coming into force. And the review would consider 2 things. Consider requiring a disclaimer for film and television and video, but it would also consider what other regulations can be put into place to make sure that these media don't espouse unhealthy perceptions of body image. So how would the bill be enforced? So investigations of violations would be initiated by government or could be prompted by anonymous consumer complaints or public complaints. All investigations would be led by the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services. Parties found in violation of the law would face stiff fines. They'd be fined up to $25,000 for the first offense, up to $50,000 for a second offense, and up to $75,000 for the third and each subsequent offense. In addition, the bill would create or require the creation as a recognition for individuals and businesses who take concrete action to reduce the prevalence of eating disorders and support those who are struggling with eating disorders. The bill would create a series of awards under the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care to provide positive reinforcement to those organizations or individuals who are taking those kinds of steps. And finally, the bill would require that the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care hold an annual awareness campaign on eating disorders with an emphasis on promoting healthy perceptions of body image and beauty. As Amy was talking about, as Wendy were talking about, this is something that's not talked about enough, that not enough people are aware of. And this awareness campaign, the purpose of this awareness campaign is to address that particular problem. The intent of this bill is to combat eating disorders in Ontario by educating people about what they're actually seeing, what they're seeing on magazine stands and movie posters and billboards, and by giving a boost to positive portrayals of healthy body image and beauty. As I said earlier, I've witnessed firsthand, and we've heard from Amy today, the devastating impact of eating disorders. And we've all heard, many have heard, far too many young people who've taken drastic action to conform to unrealistic and unhealthy perceptions of beauty. And this is the kind, these unhealthy perceptions are espoused very often in our mainstream and social media. So my bill, if passed, would ensure that people are aware of these unrealistic portrayals of beauty and body image. And through education and positive enforcement, I believe this bill would help eliminate some of the factors that lead to eating disorders. So to speak more about why combating eating disorders is so important, I'd like to hand it over to Suzanne Phillips, who's the Program Manager for the National Eating Disorder Information Center. Suzanne.
Good morning. My name is Suzanne Phillips, and I'm the Program Manager for the National Eating Disorder Information Center, NEDIC. For over 30 years, NEDIC has provided information, resources, referral, and support to those affected by eating disorders, their families, and healthcare professionals via our national toll-free helpline and now our instant chat services. Eating disorders are not a choice. They are serious mental health issues, and statistics indicate that nearly 1 million Canadians would meet the diagnostic criteria of an eating disorder. NEDIC works to end the shame and stigma surrounding eating disorders and to dispel the myth that you can tell by looking at someone if they have an eating disorder. Eating disorders affect all people, regardless of gender, ethnicity, age, ability, or socioeconomic status. Through specialized eating disorder treatment, individuals affected can and do recover. Through our outreach and education programming, we provide workshops to young people to help build resiliency and stronger body image and self-esteem. We have worked with the Girl Guides of Canada to build programming that tackles these issues, and we've created Beyond Images, a free web-enabled co-ed curriculum for grades 4 through 8 that helps them understand the messages they encounter in the media. NEDIC applauds MPP Baker's initiative to combat unrealistic ideals portrayed in the media through the use of photoshopped imagery. Creating stronger media literacy awareness and building self-esteem and better body image, especially in young people, is crucial. We know that poor self-esteem and poor body image can lead to individuals engaging in harmful behaviors such as dieting, which put people at risk for the development of an eating disorder. I wanted to share with you a message we received from a young person. If I could be thin, like everyone on social media, then maybe I could finally love my body and people would like me. This young person, and many like them, is why this bill is so important. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Luciana Rosu Cieza. I am the Executive Director of the Bulimia Anorexia Nervosa Association, or BANA, in Windsor, Ontario. I am joined here today by Dr. Sarah Woodruff-Atkinson, our Board Chair. For the past 35 years, BANA has been the primary service provider for those affected directly and indirectly by eating disorders. Eating disorders have the highest mortality rate of any psychiatric illness. A study in 2016 by the Eating Disorders Coalition revealed that every 62 minutes, at least one person dies as a direct result of an eating disorder. In a multimedia world where individuals can be exposed to an excess of 5,000 ads per day, the primary victim of this onslaught is quite often our body image and self-esteem. In our efforts to create the perfect ad, we have in fact created unrealistic and unattainable ideals. This bill will assist in addressing unhealthy conceptions of beauty and body image in commercially produced media. We at BANA find it encouraging that members of our provincial parliament, like MPP Baker, are taking positive steps like this bill to ensure the mental health and well-being of our residents. I would like now to take a few moments just to take this opportunity to read a brief impact statement from an individual that received treatment at BANA and is now in recovery. These are her words. My name is Chelsea. I'm a 28-year-old woman. My eating disorder manifested at the age of 20. However, I can remember beginning to diet as young as the age of 8. During my childhood, I was exposed through media and even family conversations around body and what was an acceptable and beautiful body. Through this, I was exposed to the diet culture and food fads. Once my eating disorder manifested in the form of severe bulimia, I was caught in a vicious cycle. I would look in the mirror at my inadequate body, feel disgusted by it, eat to soothe those feelings, purge to get rid of the calories, have a moment of relief, which turned to guilt and shame over what I was doing. So to soothe that, I ate more, and the cycle continued. Sometimes this happened several times a day. I was gaining weight, which was making it even worse. From the outside, you would have never known that I was suffering so badly, but that only lasted so long. Sometimes my urge to binge and purge had me isolate from friends and family, cancel plans, and physically I was deteriorating with electrolyte imbalances and hair loss. I hit rock bottom. I reached out for help at BANA and underwent CBTE treatment. Through this, I explored where my distorted beliefs around food and body image actually stem from. Treatment saved my life. I began to see my body in a completely different way than that inadequate comparison to widespread beauty ideals. I love my body for what it can do and for its uniqueness. More must be done to moderate the sources that promote distorted and unrealistic body images. Please, for everyone suffering in silence like I did, do something to help combat the epidemic of eating disorders. I hope that the members of the media and those in Parliament can appreciate that, and not only that this is a very difficult disorder, but it is equally difficult to speak about. So I want to thank Chelsea for sharing her story. One of the biggest obstacles in addressing eating disorders, body image, and the unhealthy conceptions of what beauty is the ability to have this honest communication about a very terrifying, life-altering, and personal topic that still holds a great deal of stigma. What this bill will do is encourage companies to participate in meaningful change. The impact will promote healthy attitudes about body image and beauty and create awareness while fostering a positive environment and promote a healthier lifestyle for those future Ontarians. For the past 3.5 decades, BANA has seen the negative effects media can have on individuals. Today, with this bill, we are one step closer to making the next 35 years all the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luciana and Suzanne and Wendy. Thank you very much for your advocacy and for being here. And Amy, thank you very much for coming here today and having the courage to share your thoughts and your story. Thank you. I'm now happy to take any questions if there are any. Okay, great. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.